geez, like, should I try a new sales process? Should I try a 5-day challenge? Should I try a video sales letter? Should I do a webinar presentation? Do I take on this new hire? Do I take my offer and put it on another traffic channel? Should I let go of this person who's not really executing and doing their job? Oh wow, look at this new technology. Man, all these headlines are coming out like we need to implement this now. If we don't implement it, we're gonna get left behind. Like there's so many decisions that we have to make on a day-to-day basis. And I got something extremely special for you that's gonna walk you through an exercise to help you get absolute clarity. Check it out. Welcome to this quick on-demand class. What you see before you is called the decision-making system. And you should have a copy of what you see here on your screen. Essentially what we have here is a worksheet. This is going to help you from a logical standpoint get crystal clear on whether or not you should do whatever thing that's been kind of nagging at you. And if you don't have this, somewhere around this video you should see a link where you can actually download a copy. You can just right click and download that to your computer as we're gonna go along here. And if you want to, you can even just use a plain old piece of paper to follow along. Either way, this is the tool that we're gonna be using, cool? So if you're on this training, most likely what's happened is you're like most successful entrepreneurs being faced with a ton of new opportunities seemingly every day. And as a result of that, now you have a lot of decisions to make. And if you're like most folks, myself included, you're getting a lot of different information from different sources about what you should be doing in your business. And some of it even conflicts with each other. And it can be really, really overwhelming and confusing. So the purpose of this is to let your own instincts and what you want guide you through what you should do next. So let's start with the very top left box here, which is your big picture goal. And who knows, you might not even have one. You might be like so many clients I work with where you're putting out so many fires. You haven't had the chance to really think about it. So whatever your answer to this is, that's cool. It doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just write something down anyways. So as you probably know, I'm assuming you're here watching this because you've seen some of my content on social media. I'm really big into helping successful businesses. And my big picture goal for our company is to build and sustain a $100 million company that helps businesses achieve simplified growth through better strategic thinking, data-driven marketing, and acquisitions. And I will do so at a 60% margin, right? So this is what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm not there yet, but that's my big goal. And incidentally, my big goal is not relevant to yours. Like whatever your big goal is, that it's perfect. We just kind of want to write something down because we want to make sure that whatever it is that you're thinking about doing or whatever it is that's crawling in the back of your mind and driving you a little nuts, we want to make sure that it's lined up with this thing. Now, on the top right corner of our worksheet here, we have your purpose. And this is where we get a tad bit close to the woo-woo stuff. And I want you to rest assured that this is not what we're aiming for here, okay? The real question I'm asking you is, why do you want to do this, right? Like seriously, be real with yourself. You see, for me, what I want to have happen when I pull this all off, I will have a measurably positive impact on the global economy and inspire our fellow entrepreneurs to have this mental shift like, holy shit, I've been thinking way too small, allowing myself to get distracted and making this game of business and wealth creation way too complicated. Serious shit. This would be one of the coolest things ever, especially knowing that my kids will be able to see all of this come to fruition by my side. And again, you know, whatever you put here, even if your purpose is to make a bunch of money so you can goof off all day, that's perfect. Whatever it happens to be is great, as long as it's your perfect and you own it and will be proud of it. So, this is mine and my logic here. My goal is to grow a company this big, and I'm helping business owners exponentially increase revenues with less overwhelm and stress, identify their wealth targets, and strategically hitting them with simplicity, as well as accomplishing something they'll be proud of and can leave behind if they want to. So therefore, I'm hoping the big picture goal will result in this, which is the primary driving purpose here, to measurably help 1,000 entrepreneurs create fuck you money and leave a legacy. Again, please, don't think that yours needs to measure mine by any means. Whatever you put here is good, and it's not something I would overthink. Let's just get something in these two boxes so you can get a pretty clear idea of why you're getting up every day. Because I'm pretty sure you're not getting up out of bed going, oh, I can't wait to go put out more fires and deal with more overwhelm, right? So this is going to get you back to why you got started in the first place. And with that said, let's get down to brass tacks, okay? Let's talk about the decision at hand. So this worksheet, this whole thing, this is the decision-making process designed to get you crystal clear on what you want and whether or not you should do this quote-unquote thing that's kind of gnawing at you. This is the decision at hand. There's probably something you're considering. Should I start this new project? Should I hire this person? Should I enroll in this training? Whatever it may be, let's write it down here. And for me, as an example, I'm going to put down that my decision at hand is that I should launch a new continuity program via a downsell for unqualified clients. That's what I'm wrestling with. Like, I want to use this continuity program as a downsell for those not necessarily ready to work with me one-on-one, privately, or in a small group in a private setting. Should I do it or not? So again, whatever your decision is that you're contemplating, that's what you should put here. And by the way, no one's seeing this. You can put whatever you want to. Like, if your decision is, hey, should I get rid of Johnny? Then put that down. And no, you don't have to share this with anybody. Now, first question you got to ask yourself is, if doing this right here, is this going to get me significantly closer to either of these two things? And a lot of the times, the answer is no. We kind of think it over and you're like, it's not necessarily going to have a big effect on either of these two things. And if that's the case, you're actually done with the worksheet. However, let's assume the answer is yes. Doing this in my case, and again, I'm just using my stuff in this example. Doing this, in fact, would move me closer to this. So I'm just gonna mark the yes box, and it's that simple. And again, if you're at a no, then we're done, which is great. It's really good to get a no quickly because it saves us a lot of trouble. If you're at a yes, that's cool too. Now, like every other high-performing entrepreneur on the planet, this is the one thing that trips us up. We start something new, but we don't set any success criteria, all right? So what I want to do now is, if we have determined that, hey, it might be a good idea to do this thing that you're contemplating, let's set 4 pieces of criteria that might be true in order for this to have been a good decision. Make sense? So for me, I will know that launching this new continuity program via content marketing and ads that will drive my audience to an on-demand class to sell the program itself, I'll know it's successful when all 4 of these things have happened. Number 1, we're attracting qualified prospects, like actual business owners that are doing something and they're dedicated to building a profitable business. So that's the criteria number 1. And if we got that checked, awesome. Number 2, members of this paid community are getting results and contacting our team to work closer together. So that's success criteria number 2. So criteria number 3, we're at least 3 times return on investment from our ad costs. So if I spend $1,000 in advertising, I want to make at least $3,000 in compounding sales. So if we're doing that, wonderful. And by the way, none of my stuff has any relation to yours, okay? I'm using my situation as an example so you see what it looks like when you write out your success criteria. Okay, so criteria number 4 would be the sales process. Like whatever it is that we're doing from the awareness stage to community content to becoming private clients and partners, it creates measurable goodwill as well as profitability for those that implement and take action. So I know that if we do these 4 things, this was a great idea. It was a success, right? And now comes the one thing that very few people, myself included, ever really remember to do, which is to create a deadline for when we want all this stuff to occur. So I'm going to arbitrarily put 90 days from the time we start testing. So we start testing today. I want to have gotten these 4 results within 90 days. If I do that, everything worked out great, right? So it doesn't matter what your deadline is, but whatever we do, we want to put a time frame there. Otherwise, you know how things go. Things kind of get in the way and things get pushed back and yada, yada, yada. So whatever your deadline is perfect. Now, 2 questions that are really important. Number 1, if we're going to get going, what's the possible short-term benefit of doing this? And could reasonably expect if things were to kind of work out the way we want them to work. And by the way, this is important because if you start a new project and there is no short-term benefit that you're seeing, it's unlikely that you're going to continue doing it. But if you do define what the short-term benefits are that you would like to see, there's a much greater chance of you continuing this project through because you know what you're working towards and you can actually see things playing out. Continuing on as an example, for me, I'm going to write out number 1. We're going to get the data of what's working and what's not working to share with our existing clients. So I'm starting to create content and run ads to drive people to an on-demand class into a sales process. I'm going to know what content resonates with the marketplace and which doesn't. We're also going to know at which part of the sales process has bottlenecks or constraints that needs attention. So regardless, we're definitely going to get something useful out of this experiment that at the very least we can share with our existing clients. So that would be good. That's the short-term benefit. Number 2, assuming things go even reasonably well, we'll get a working and tweakable sales process down. So if we start getting prospects and they start becoming members, we have something that we know that works pretty well. And then we can tweak it and try to make it work better if needed. And who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and it will just work right out of the gate. You never know. Number 3 is we will build goodwill and help people. And I'm putting that down here because regardless of whether or not somebody becomes a member, it is very important in the culture of our company that every bit of the sales process is helpful. This is a great short-term benefit. I mean, it's one of the primary mechanisms of influence, which is reciprocity. And that brings me to the 4th short-term benefit that can possibly happen. And that is having the reciprocity and goodwill actually come back around and turn a profit. So yeah, these are all the things I'm looking to happen in the short term. At least the first 3, that's for sure. The turning a profit thing out of the gates, that would be great. However, I know that since we're in this for the long run, it's just a matter of time before it pays off in a big way where everyone associated with our company makes a lot of freaking money, builds great relationships, and does so they live the type of life that they want for themselves and their families. And now that helps us segue into the second question. What are the long-term benefits? Because if we're constantly starting new things, we get caught up in this perpetual cycle of overwhelm. Starting new is always the hardest part. Once it gets up and running, just making it continue to run and run a little bit better, that's easy. So again, what's the long-term benefits of doing this? Again, for me, we'd help thousands of people from the marketing alone, because in our company, we believe that marketing should move people along the path of attaining what they want. And when we're constantly showing up as the helpful hand, installing the key components for a business to be profitable, it makes the sale to work with us at a higher level so much easier because people come to you essentially pre-framed and ready to buy. The marketing in of itself is an asset that can and will continue to pay out incredible returns for years. And we'll be able to build something with a high likelihood of a 9-figure exit or payday, which is a huge benefit. Heck, I mean, we're in business to make money. And if we can not just show our members how we're doing it, but actually give them the growth data, install the growth systems into their business, and help them access the growth capital to accomplish what they want, ooh-wee, pretty fun. This helps us accomplish our big picture goal and live out our purpose. Something that I've identified is worth striving for. And number 3, we'll be building a pool of pre-vetted partnership deals to grow, scale, and exit, hence the wealth creation machine and the wealth creation society. And if the big picture goal is met, we'd net $60 million, and that's some pretty good money to say the least. And finally, the ripple effect could be massive, which is crazy to think about. Of all the businesses out there and very few competition percentage-wise, it only takes a small community for this thing to really get out of hand. In a good way, that is, being that we're actually helping business owners get results and experience sustainable growth and profits. So whatever your long-term benefits are, list them here. Now, it's time for us to get significantly different here, because all of this over here is all the pros and what could potentially go right. However, we need to address something very crucial, and that is, what's going to be the cost of getting all of this off the ground? And aside from putting together the video sales letter and the on-demand class presentations, the content pieces, and some tech, I'm looking at roughly about 10 grand in VA and marketing costs over the 90-day period, which is not a lot because most of these members will come from a downsell. So whatever you think the cost will be, you don't have to get too granular, but have some kind of idea what you're willing to invest to get this going. And now, this is where most people just glaze over, and it's really important not to do so. Like if we're expecting for everything to go over perfectly, and you're going over an exercise with someone, and they don't point out that it's highly unlikely that everything will go perfectly, it would totally be misleading. So let's acknowledge that there's always a cost to doing things, and issues always arise somehow, some way. So let's just be real with ourselves and consider what can go wrong. That way we can address those things and put things into perspective. So what can go wrong here? And number 1, this can be a huge distraction and business suffers as a result. Number 2, it's a total hassle and we run into unforeseen problems. Who knows? And number 3, members are not engaged and they do not find it valuable. And here's another one. It's a total flop and I look dumb. I mean, is it probable? Not really, because I see what's going on in other private communities, what's working and how things can be improved, but you never know. And I can really care less about looking dumb to the public, so there's no sweat off my back. So what you want to do is compare all the things that can potentially go wrong to the benefits and ask yourself the question, is it worth the risk? Because everything we engage in is a risk no matter what. So with everything out on the table, we want to answer the question, and if the answer is no, we just save yourself all of this, and none of this bad stuff is going to happen now. And that's awesome. You made the decision using 100% pure logic that it's not worth your time and energy. Now, if it is worth the risk, and the answer is yes, all we have to do now is get clear on the next big steps to get started on this thing. For me, that is record the video sales letter or presentation. Once I have it done and recorded, install the recording and downsell process and automation into my sales funnel and start testing. And number 3, create the community inside of Rainmaker AI, which is the CRM I use to manage my business, and see what happens. And now what we've done, seeing this whole thing, hopefully taking you from a state of having this thing been on your mind and frankly consuming energy from you to clarify whether or not it should consume any more energy from you. You can either remove it from your plate or begin taking the next steps to getting it going and having it launched by a specific time. You know the criteria for it to be successful and you understand the risk involved. Heck yeah. I love it when people actually take the time to go through exercises to help them get clarity. As of right now, if you went through this process, you should have absolute clarity on whether or not you should execute on the idea that's been taking up a lot of energy and a lot of space on your mind and probably holding you back from hitting your goals. Now, in regards to actually growing your company, what if we can actually work together in a private setting where we're going to identify the one thing, the one lever to pull in your business to help you make more money in the next 30 days or less than it has over the last 12 months on average. And the beautiful thing about identifying this one lever to pull is that we're going to use basic math. We're going to allow the data to show us what is the smartest thing for us to do to bring in more revenue. If that's something of interest to you, go ahead and click the button down below this video, start the process, and let's see if there's a fit, because my specific intentions is to help business owners like yourself make more money than it's ever made before with minimized stress and higher profits. So again, go ahead and click the button down below and see if it's a fit. Other than that, until next time, peace.